Hello there, everyone. Good evening to you. I hope it has been a dry one for you, or I hope that at least you have been able to avoid the rain. We are tracking showers and occasional rumbles of thunder moving through portions of North Georgia, as well as really much of the south and the southeast. In fact, we're taking a look at first alert radar right now. I have it looping over the past several minutes. This is about a 45-minute loop, and you will notice that we are tracking rain moving across much of the area, really from about Mississippi, Louisiana state line on back into portions of northeast Georgia. Much of the south and the southeast is dealing with widespread rain across the area this evening, and this will linger into the overnight hours. Definitely something we're going to be monitoring. You have probably heard about some of the severe weather that has occurred off to our south and to our southwest today. We'll be monitoring that as well, and we have some live images coming in from New Orleans, the greater New Orleans area, portions of Mississippi and Alabama also experiencing severe weather. But for us, again, right now you're looking at radar. This is zoomed in across North Georgia. You can see all of metro Atlanta on this particular vantage point, and you'll notice that while rain is very steady out there, in fact, widespread, steady, light to moderate rain, it's not particularly heavy at the moment. In fact, the heaviest rain has yet to arrive. Again, if you're just tuning in, thanks for watching. We may have alerted you to this stream and the Atlanta News First news app, or perhaps the First Alert weather app. I myself dealing with the rain just a little bit ago, and it continues to impact much of metro Atlanta, mainly the north side now on up into the mountains of North Georgia. A little bit of a lull or break across the immediate metro, but again, pulling radar back up, there is much more rain on the way, much more where that came from, as they say. As you can see, rain building back in from the south and west. Widespread rain is in the forecast overnight tonight. Already much of the area has at least seen, about a quarter to a half inch of rain, and that is the trend over the next 3, 4, 5 hours. Rain is going to continue to build in from the south and west over the next several hours. In fact, let's give you a broader vantage point now, expanding that view down into portions of southern Alabama, coastal Mississippi. That is where the severe weather threat is greatest. Basically, as a front moves in from the north and west, the flow out ahead of that is out of the Gulf of Mexico. We have a lot of energy for showers and thunderstorms to use, and they're certainly tapping into that, and they are starting to spin. You can see widespread rain and thunderstorms here, and this is where the risk of severe weather is greatest for the rest of this evening. Now, the good news here is that as far as North Georgia is concerned, we're going to clean up the map a little bit for you. We don't have quite as warm conditions. Conditions are not quite as favorable as far as the risk of stratospheric thunderstorms is concerned, and that's a good thing, because if it was much warmer, we certainly would be dealing with a greater risk of severe weather. But for the time being, and I think throughout the duration of this event, we're having much more decent weather across North Georgia and metro Atlanta. Again, we'll go ahead and bring up a different vantage point here for you. You can see that we have a lot of rain across North Georgia from about the I-20 corridor, Atlanta to Birmingham and points north. There is heavy rain in the mountains of Tennessee impacting the Nashville area, East Tennessee as well, the Piedmont of North Carolina up into the mountains, upstate of South Carolina. So there is a lot of rain to be had, but as I play with the map a little bit here, you'll notice the deeper reds and all of this lightning activity really greatest here well south of I-20, closer to the I-10 corridor from about Mobile, New Orleans earlier, but now into southern Alabama from Mobile up to about Montgomery, Alabama. Florida Panhandle at risk for severe weather tonight as all of these storms that are currently out over the Gulf of Mexico as they continue to build off to the north. And we'll zoom down in here and show you this. The atmosphere for rotating, individual thunderstorms, each with that spin, prompting the risk of tornadoes. They will be impacting the Florida Panhandle. Again, we're out in the Gulf of Mexico now, painting that map just a little north from Pensacola, Panama City to Tallahassee. If you know anyone, maybe midweek business trip, and they are trekking down that I-10 corridor, if they're flying into Mobile or New Orleans, connecting somewhere else, a lot of weather to be had. Definitely an area that is under the risk, a much greater risk than North Georgia, of some strong to severe thunderstorms. Nonetheless, we do have rain across the region, and it will continue to rain overnight tonight. And at times that rain will be heavy. All right, I want to check in on social media. We're streaming in on several platforms right now, including Facebook. And we'll take a look at the Atlanta News first page right now. And there is a bit of a delay between when your comments come in and when I see them, so I do apologize if I missed anything. Good evening to you, Mary Ryan, Michael Baxter, hello to you. Rabbi Misty, hello, hello. Thank you all for watching. I hope you are having a wonderful evening. And keep in mind, we have more rain on the way, and we're going to continue to be dealing with rain here for the next several hours, really deep into the overnight and in the earliest portion of tomorrow evening. Also monitoring the YouTube live Atlanta News First feed. If you have any weather questions, comments, concerns, Facebook Atlanta News First, that's the account to follow, to like, as well as YouTube, and those are the two platforms we can converse on, and I can address any weather questions, comments, and concerns that you may have. Again, we'll take you back full to radar, and then we're going to start talking about the forecast, looking a little bit deeper into the future through tomorrow and what may end up being a switch to drier but much colder weather in that first alert forecast. So that's a look at radar right now, what is actually falling outside. Now we'll take a look to forecast radar. This is what one computer model, really one run of one computer model has in the forecast. So it may not be exact, but it's doing a good job. Notice how we're in a little bit of a lull right now, but that lull ends and rain builds back in from the south and west as we go deeper into the evening. So by 9 p.m., 10 p.m., the late news on Atlanta News First, 11 p.m., temperature still stuck in the 40s to near 50 many spots. But notice Randolph County, Alabama up to about 60, LaGrange at 60, so a little warmer. And I think down there is where the risk of thunderstorms will be greatest. So if you're watching from, let's say, Griffin, if you're watching from the LaGrange area, basically this area I'm about to circle, this is where the risk of a couple thunderstorms will be greater overnight tonight. You may hear some of that booming thunder, see the flashes of lightning. Rain could be a little heavier there, and a couple of those storms could produce some gustier winds, though I do think that also the risk of severe weather, even in these slightly warmer spots, these spots that are south of Atlanta and a little bit of a better spot to see some thunderstorms, I still think there the risk of severe weather is very low. Still, though, it doesn't hurt to keep alerts turned on in the Atlanta News First Alert weather app or have a NOAA weather radio, any way you typically use to get severe weather watches, warnings, alerts. Not a bad night to have that on, especially now through about 2 a.m. or so, just in case. But Atlanta points northward, going to be harder to even hear thunder. It's just very chilly outside. The air is fairly stable. Even though we have all the rain, just not much energy for clouds to grow tall enough and, energetic enough, we'll say, to produce some lightning. So here we are, 4 a.m. tomorrow morning. Good news, commuters. Notice how we do dry out as we go deeper into we'll pull this back now. Here we are, 5, 6, 7 a.m. Rain is pushing east of Atlanta. In fact, we may wake up to peaks of sunshine by 7 a.m. with temperatures in the 40s. Lower 50s, bit of a breeze, so kind of a cool, breezy, but clearing Thursday morning. That's good news, right? And here we are tomorrow afternoon. Enjoy that. Temperatures warming back into the mid and upper 50s in many spots. Maybe a little cooler, lower 50s on the northwest side. Carrollton, Canton, Blairsville, Dalton, and Rome. Some cooler air starts to filter in, but still a nice day. More sunshine than we've seen, and also forecast to be warmer tomorrow afternoon than the next several afternoons, and it comes with sunshine, so that is the best news. And here's the temperature trend here over the next several days. Keep in mind that we have some much chillier weather on the way. It is going to be feeling much chillier as we get into the weekend. Here is that full first alert 7-day forecast. Upper 50s tomorrow, but we're back in the low to mid 50s on our Friday, and we're stuck in the 40s Saturday and Sunday. Lots of sunshine, that's the good news, but with the breeze, 40s, freezes in the mornings. Heavy winter coat is definitely a good idea. Mary Ryan, so glad we don't have any cooler weather because snow would foul everything up. We do have actually a lot of cooler weather in the forecast. Not sure where you're, that's going to be warming up, Mary. Cold weather is on the way. That is a guarantee. Coldest weather, today was cold, but we had the clouds. We haven't had any really sunny cold weather in some time, and it is back in the forecast. In fact, Atlanta by next Monday morning forecast to be in the 20s. That means mountains low to mid 20s, a possibility, Mary. And there are signs that after Wednesday, as we get ready to celebrate the big holiday Christmas next weekend, much colder air could be back in the forecast. We could be talking hard freezes all across North Georgia, and perhaps something even more significant than that. Not necessarily forecasting any wintry weather, any snow or anything, because the forecast is complicated. There are a lot of moving parts there, and we're just going to need to continue to look over the data, see how it evolves, because we're looking here about 9, 10, 11, 12 days out, and can't rule out the risk of some wintry weather here across parts of the southeast. Something we're just going to be casually watching, but Mary, definitely some cold air in the forecast, and it starts to filter in as early as this weekend. And definitely it is back in the forecast as we get into the middle of next week. In fact, I can show you AtlantaNewsFirst.com. That's the homepage. We have our story up, a right-hand corner, talking about some stormier weather on the way. It's already raining, of course. We have the details there. But if you scroll down below the current conditions and our forecast up at the top of the page, click on 10-day, and notice how high temperature next Friday, low of 23 and a high of 36. That is in Atlanta. So it's possible, if that comes to fruition, if everything comes together just right, parts of North Georgia will be below freezing the entire day. Now, that is an uncertain forecast, a lot of moving parts, variables there, but nonetheless, as we get ready to celebrate Christmas, and that is a busy holiday travel day, the 23rd, a Friday before Christmas, something we're going to be watching pretty closely, something we will be updating you all on, and something to be aware of over the next several days. Annette Edge says, yes, it's raining here and cold in Hampton, but I pray all we have clear day at Christmas at least. Again, hoping for clear. We can guarantee the cold to some extent. It's definitely going to be colder than average, looking like a cold Christmas 2022. But as far as what comes with that, is it completely sunny? Is it cloudy? Do we have anything falling from those clouds? That is still TBD, definitely, because there is uncertainty in that forecast. And while we are confident in it getting cold, any other pieces to that puzzle? Do we have any little systems passing through as the cold air filters in, or is it cold air is already in place? Definitely something that we're going to be monitoring, fine-tuning in the forecast here over the next several days. And again, if you're just tuning, I want to go ahead and bring you back to what we have going on this evening, and that is widespread rain building into North Georgia. And we'll pull that map back up. Notice how rain is pretty much falling everywhere. We're having a little break inside I-285, the perimeter, but there is some heavier rain on the way. And I do think that the heaviest rain will be later this evening, kind of as we get into about the 11 p.m. time frame on through early tomorrow morning. That's going to be something to watch. So just a heads up. Heavy rain, widespread wet weather is in the forecast this evening and overnight tonight. And while that is not exactly the best news for everybody, especially if you work that third shift or maybe you have to travel early tomorrow morning, you get up early, it is still better than what they are dealing with to our west. We're going to go ahead and take down the banner, and I'll show you some of this video. This is out of the Araby area in New Orleans, our sister station in New Orleans, covering the tornado aftermath. Today, a strong to violent tornado pushing through portions of metro New Orleans, and we're just going to kind of show some of this video here. A little hard to see, but we'll go full with this, and this is outside of New Orleans proper in Araby. This area was actually hit by a tornado in March, and they are, again, some of the same neighborhoods. We're talking about the path of these two tornadoes only being a couple miles apart. Some of the same areas dealing with another strong tornado, as we are now just more than a week before Christmas. It's always a bad time of year. Never is a good time to be impacted by severe weather, but especially heartbreaking considering the time of year. This is, again, if you're just joining, this is not in North Georgia, but the storm system that produced this outside of New Orleans is tracking to the north and east. We are not going to see the same risk of severe weather here. It has and was forecast to be a big severe weather day across much of the Gulf Coast, I-10 corridor, including greater New Orleans, South Mississippi, and coastal Alabama. But there has been damage. Again, this is in Araby, Louisiana, kind of the southeast side, south side, the West Bank area of the New Orleans metro. If you're familiar with that spot, you can see damage to homes, a lot of debris. It's debris that is actually the most dangerous part of tornadoes, flying around, further damaging other structures. As you see the vehicles, other windows blown out, likely from debris, but also helping to bring down other structures. Kind of once you have one thing go and you have all that flying debris, it's easy to break windows and to see more damage. Again, that is not here in North Georgia. That is to our south and west. In fact, let's take you back to radar. We will expand the view here. We're going to switch radar mode so we can get a broader perspective of all of the rain showers and thunderstorms that are occurring right now. And we do have severe weather occurring to our south and east. In fact, you can still see there are some tornado warnings in effect including here right along the 65 corridor, southwest of Montgomery, Alabama. Another one, Thomasville, the Jackson area in Alabama. That's the southwestern part of the state. A couple of tornado warnings in effect. And I am watching the Florida Panhandle I-10 corridor pretty closely. You're quiet now, but all of these storms in the Gulf are definitely strong, if not already rotating, and they're moving north back into an environment that'll be favorable for some severe weather and the risk of additional tornadoes. Good news for us. I know the weather is miserable and you don't like the 40s and the wind and the chill, but that same chill is keeping the risk of severe weather pretty low across portions of North Georgia, really all of the North Georgia, and of course, Metro Atlanta as well. Annette Ed saying, so sad, prayers going out for all of them, especially in this time of year. Absolutely. Jennifer Riley saying, hello, friend. Have a good evening to you as well. Thanks for watching, for checking in. Again, I'm First Alert Meteorologist Cutter Martin here giving you a digital check of the First Alert forecast. Story tonight is widespread rain, risk of heavy rain tonight. I was driving up Peachtree Road between about Deering and just past Piedmont Hospital on the north side there, heading up kind of on the east side of Buckhead, and Peachtree Road, northeast, the right lane had quite a bit of water. It rained very hard, very quickly, and this time of year when it rains hard, everything is dormant. The grass, the trees, the plants, those plants are not in a time of year where they're really soaking up much of the water, so it runs off quickly, goes into the streets, the ditches, they fill up quickly, so a little bit of ponding possible overnight tonight into early tomorrow morning, as widespread wet weather builds back into the First Alert forecast. Going to pan radar back up to North Georgia. And you can see we're getting a bit of a lull right now inside the perimeter I-285. But look what is developing and moving back into our west. Even some isolated heavier rain in this. Carrollton, the Rome area, which are two good counties, back into Anniston, Alabama, heading back towards Birmingham. All of this rain is building north and east. And I think the heaviest of the rain is still, a few hours out as far as the metro is concerned. Basically, when all of this right here between Birmingham and Montgomery lifts to the north and east, that's when rainfall is going to get a little heavier here across North Georgia, Metro Atlanta. Good news, though, temperatures, while they do warm up tonight, the conditions locally not expected to be that suitable for the risk of severe weather. Could have a strong storm or two, could have some heavy rain, could hear some thunder, see some lightning, could be some gustier winds and a couple of storms, but we are not forecasting widespread severe weather tonight. And that is good news considering just how potent this storm system has been to our south and to our southwest. Nonetheless, it is a pretty wet evening across North Georgia and Metro Atlanta. And again, I want to thank you for watching. I'm going to go ahead and pull up that 7-day back up here and give you a look at that extended forecast. And a reminder, our story is going to go from wet weather to something that is more kind of headlined by the fact that it's going to get really cold here as we get into the weekend. Highs in the 40s, but with sunshine, we'll take that, right? It's been a while since we've had a sunny day. Back to frosty conditions Saturday morning, freezing conditions Sunday and Monday mornings. That's in Atlanta, inside the perimeter. So if you live in Cumming, Forsyth County, if you live in Canton, Cherokee County, if you live in the mountains of North Georgia, low to mid-20s, a possibility, colder spots, higher elevations Monday morning. We start to warm back up, and I use that word warm kind of liberally. High temperatures, even in Atlanta, still in the lower 50s. That chance of rain back in the forecast Wednesday. And a reminder, Atlanta News First Alert weather app, as well as our Atlanta News First website, atlantanewsfirst.com. That 10-day forecast is available, and here is, as I scroll back up, it's on the hour-by-hour section now. All you have to do is hop over to 10-day on the website, click on 10-day in the First Alert weather app. Notice how next Friday in Atlanta, the high temperature forecast to be 36, the low temperature forecast to be 23. Much of the country east of the Rockies, kind of the continental divide, so central eastern parts of the U.S., look to turn very, very cold. Now the details, the specifics with that switch to colder weather is still a bit uncertain, but a first alert, an early heads up for you that, hey, as we get close to the peak holiday travel season, and as we get close to holiday Christmas itself, it is going to switch, the forecast that is, and become much, much colder across much of the United States. Again, appreciate you tuning in, watching on Roku, Amazon Fire, maybe Atlanta News First on Facebook, on YouTube. We're live on both of those platforms right now. I want to remind you, if you have any other weather questions, comments, concerns, you can always reach out to me on social media as well. That's my name below, Cutter Martin, Cuttermartin. Here to answer your questions, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, any platform. And of course, it's not just me. Ella Dorsey, Rodney Harris, Courtney Jacobazzi, Jennifer Valdez, and Fred Campagna all here to keep you updated. Feel free to give us a holler if you have any weather questions, especially as we get closer and closer to the heart of the holiday season. But right now, the forecast, rain tonight, heavy at times. It's out of the way by the morning commute tomorrow, drying out, clearing out through the day. But a heads up, colder this weekend, much colder as we get into later next week. That full forecast next 10 days is in the First Alert Weather app. Have yourself a wonderful evening.